Police orders woman to open her trunk. Has no idea that she's recording behind his back. Officer orders woman to open her trunk and has no idea that she's recording him. For most people, getting pulled over by a police officer is not just a hassle, it's also got a scary. In many cases, you don't know why you're being pulled over until the officer gets to your window. You wonder if you were speeding, if you were swerving, or if you have a tail light out. You might wonder if you forgot to signal or if you went through a stop sign that you just didn't notice. The anxiety that you feel as the officer makes their way to your window can cause a great deal of stress and anxiety. When the officer does arrive, they take your license, registration, proof of insurance. When they take your documents back to the car to call and verify your information, the stress begins all over again. By the time the officer does come back, you'll likely be handed a ticket that you can't afford and you're allowed to go on your way. While this is what happens with most traffic stops, it's not what happened to Chy-Niece Stacker when she was pulled over by the police. This is the story of the day. The police orders a woman to open her trunk. He has no idea that she's recording everything behind his back. Chy-Niece was driving down the road to a job interview when she was pulled over by Officer Jenkins. When she was pulled over, she started looking through her glove box for her registration and her insurance information. When the officer got to her window, he told her not to bother looking for the info. Instead, he told her that he pulled her over to let her know that her brake lights were out. When the officer told Chy-Niece about her brake lights, she was pretty confused. She had the lights replaced the month before, therefore they shouldn't be out, not yet. She explained that to the officer. She also told him that Firestone charged her $600 to run a test on the wiring to make sure that it was functioning properly. When she told him that she was unemployed and that she was heading to a job interview, his heart went out to her. This poor unemployed woman had been taken advantage of by a major corporation and they left her with a car that's dangerous to drive and she had no idea. He looked at her with shock and disbelief and then asked her to pop her trunk. She was a bit nervous about that at first, not knowing why the officer wanted to search trunk, and when he got inside he began moving the wires around. He was tapping the lights to see if he could get them to turn on. Chy-Niece couldn't believe her eyes. Most police officers would have just issued a ticket for driving with faulty brake lights. Instead, he was trying to help her. Chy-Niece was so shocked by what was happening. She started filming the officer. She wanted people to see how amazing this guy was when she got home. She created a Facebook post and it read, "So this happens just now. I was on my way to a job interview when I got pulled over. Both of my brake lights went out at the same time as the officer walked over to my car. I was pulling up my license, registration, and insurance when he saw me. He quickly said, 'Don't worry about pulling anything out. I just want you to know that your brake lights are out immediately. I'm upset because I just had them replaced a month ago.' I told him that Firestone wanted to charge me $600 just to run a test on the wiring in my car. He looked at me shocked and he told me to pop the trunk. He checked my lights in the trunk and started to tap them. But they didn't come on. He told me to pop the hood to check the relay box, then asked to get out so he could have checked the other one. He could have easily given me a ticket without a second thought, but he didn't. Instead, Officer Jenkins stepped out of his role of police officer and he became a mechanic. He wanted to make sure that my lights would work. All my Chy-Niece posted her story and her photos on Facebook. It quickly went viral in just a few days. The post received over 388,000 likes and it was shared over 90,800 times. It's not uncommon for people to talk about problems that they have with police officers. It's also not uncommon for there to be negative news about police officers. The reason this post went viral so quickly is that it was a story about a police officer who went above and beyond to help out the driver. He didn't want to write her a ticket, he didn't want to give her a hard time. The only thing he was worried about was getting her back on the road again safely without needing to worry about her being rear-ended. If the driver behind didn't know that she was planning to stop, this one incident made Officer Jenkins a hero in Chy-Niece's mind. When Chy-Niece posted, "He is a blessing." The Henrico County Police Department wanted to thank the officer themselves. They shared her photo and they created their own post. A red "Thank you Chy-Niece Stacker for sharing this about one of our officers. We are so proud of our officers. We are especially proud when one of our citizens shares things like this above and beyond the call of duty. Officer Jenkins' service to our country is what it's all about, and Officer Jenkins has made our department proud. Officer Jenkins is a true inspiration. Hopefully this story will inspire other officers around the country to go above and beyond the call of duties themselves. Wherever they are. Officers are there to help the public, and Officer Jenkins has shown exactly how to do it. Subscribe for more.